Thank you for staying with us here on City View with City Manager Jeff Bremer. Jeff, it's been a lot of fun talking to you. This has been a great show. Thank you very much for expressing your interest in doing it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had this great opportunity.
Thank you.
And you are going to keep coming back for us, right? We're going to see
absolutely.
You. Okay, good. I don't want you to think I don't want you to scare you away or anything. I'm never going back there and talking to that guy.
I'm going to be here. You might not be here, but I'll be here. You know, talking to myself.
No, we won't let that happen. Mr. Bremer, right now McCarty Ranch is in the papers. It's talk all over town. What's happening in McCarty Ranch?
Well, that to me is an incredible opportunity to accomplish a couple of major goals. The main purpose we bought that for, it's 3,100 acres of land that's on the west side by Range Line Road, and it's a large parcel of land. In fact, I like to say that the size of that land is larger than the largest city I managed before I came here.
Is it really?
So it's almost 5 square miles, and it is it's an incredible piece of what I would consider to be Florida history, because it has natural settings on it, it has a lake on it, and the reason we bought it was that as we age and as we get older, we're going to have more and more concerns about water. I mean, you read about droughts and you read about water issues, and we're no different here in Florida. You know, we have the Floridan aquifer, and that's where we get most of our water from, and that's a finite source. So a part of the reason that we bought the ranch was for us to be able to divert water out of the C-23 canal, which is really the sluice gate for releases and runoff from various areas.
So we would just draw water
from the
canal.
And it's called an injection process where we take water during the rainy season, we inject it actually down into layers of rock where it's stored. And then during the dry season, we can pull it out and we treat it, and then we can use it as drinking water.
So rather than store water in tanks above the ground, we're actually pushing water down underground.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
It's an interesting process, and you know, if you're starting to have to store it above ground, you couldn't have enough capacity. But on the McCarty Ranch itself is a rather substantial lake. We would use that continue to use that as a reservoir, so we can put some water in the reservoir and have that as, it's almost like the equivalent of a water tower.
Okay.
You know, where you see the big water towers that have water. Well, ours is going to be natural, because there's the natural lake there. So that's the main intent, and that will take care of, we anticipate that will take care of our residents' water needs for the next 50 to 100 years.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
that was an insightful, our utilities director, very insightful of him to bring that project for us. And so now we have the property, and we're going to be using it, but we're not going to need to really get heavily into the water side of it for maybe a decade or more. So what do we do with the property? And that's where we have a committee set up of our employees, and we think that it affords an excellent opportunity for some passive recreational opportunities for our residents. And we're planning a big grand opening in the first part of November, so you know, mark that down in your calendar. You'll see more of that. We want to invite our residents to see what an incredible opportunity they have. Right now we're cutting some walking and hiking paths through the various areas of the park, and we're going to be able to accommodate mountain bikes, and in the future we're looking at kayaks, and we're looking at horseback riding, and maybe even some very passive camping at the site.
Fun.
It is. I hope that everybody comes out to see it, because it is, to me, it's an incredible piece of property in a pretty pristine state, and that's the way it's always going to stay. We're not going to develop it. We're going to keep it in its natural state. We're going to practice sound environmental practices there. So we're working on controlling the Brazilian peppers, and we're working on controlling the invasive species so that it looks like natural Florida from the past.
We recently got to go on a tour, a nice bus tour that went out there, and so we saw the lake, and I couldn't believe how clear the water was.
You're right. It is. It's clean, very clean, and it can. And at some points, it's relatively deep. but it gives you a great opportunity. But there's great fishing out there, I understand.
Have you been fishing?
And well, actually, our department heads went out there on a tour, and there were a couple of poles involved, and they pulled in a couple of rather substantial sized bass from it, and we saw an alligator out there. Of course, you don't know of any pond around that doesn't have an alligator.
Right.
But yeah, it's a natural feature that is, I think, going to allow for fishing opportunities and allow for kayaking, and it's just I don't remember what the size of the acreage is for that size, but it has to be 300, 400, 500 acres maybe in terms of its overall size. So it's substantial. It is the central feature, I think, of the entire property.
It's a beautiful piece of property out there. And it's going to be open to the public.
It'll be open to the public. Right now, we're logistically we're determining how it functions, but basically it'll probably function like the Savannah Preserve. It's going to be open. We may have a warden at some point in time on the property, but it's you come and you use it, and it's kind of like take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints. That's kind of the mentality that I think that we would ask. Leave it the way you saw it, and take pictures and enjoy it.
Yeah. Are there any structures out there right now?
On the property, there is an entrance, what we call the Welcome Center. It was an old building that was there, and our building department, our maintenance department, did a great job of renovating it. That could be used for the future for small parties or gatherings. It has an outside outside porch area, so to speak. That's pretty large. You could grill there. It has adequate parking that you can stage from there to go into the main part of the park. And then there's also a couple of houses that are on the property itself that were used for some of the ag use that was there, and some of the cattle use that's there.
Oh, how about that? How about make it a dude ranch for vacations? You could draw people out here for vacations, come stay at the McCarty Dude Ranch.
Yeah.
I can see you out there with your big 10-gallon hat now.
Yeah, exactly.
Chewing on the piece of wheat. Well, Mr. Bremer, it's been just wonderful having you on our show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I look forward to next month.
All right, wonderful.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care.
Thank you very much for sticking with us for this first edition of City View. We'll see you next time with Mr. Jeff Bremer.